Hi everyone, I'm Deena McKay. I am the host of Black Tech Unplugged as well as a blogger at DeenaMcKay.com. I usually talk about tech within my blog and podcast, but today I'm going to do a recap of the EmpowerHer17 event, which was in Chicago last week. So the theme of the event was Live Your Best Life. And that's exactly what we did over the 2-day conference period. There was so much Black girl awesomeness, so many gems learned, and I'm going to say that this was not just a tech conference, and that's what I loved about it. It was diverse in topics. We talked about media, creative vibes, law, and also inspiration and motivation to continue on with our entrepreneurial or side hustle or even just life journeys. So what I loved about the event was that they built time in there for us to network. Every few panels, they gave us time to mingle with other women that were around us, and I learned a lot about a lot of the great women that were at the event. And I loved how the event ended. People to come on stage and share their journey of why they came and what they learned throughout the whole conference. So let me tell you 5 of my top gems that I learned from the event. So one topic particularly was mentioned plenty of times, and that was self-care and mental health. And some gems that were mentioned during that time was to stop checking your email all day, every day. And Zim from Travel Noir mentioned that when you check your email all the time, you're giving people the power to take over your day. People's requests will take over your day, and that's just not how you want to live. Another thing that was mentioned was drinking matcha tea. Personally, I haven't picked up my matcha tea yet, but it's supposed to have a lot of antioxidants. It's supposed to be really good for you, so I'm recommending everyone go try matcha tea. Another thing that was mentioned was saying no to things. In today's society, we always feel like we have to be doing something all the time, and it's just time to take back over our life and start saying no to situations, because we can't give to others if our cup isn't full for ourselves. So start taking more time for ourselves. And it's also one last point on self-care and mental health was the thought behind there's a need for discernment. You need to know who is your actual tribe and who's actually helping you. And it's time to let go of those people who are kind of holding you back and not allowing you to grow and be a better person. So learning discernment and having the best tribe around you was another point that was mentioned. Point 2 is struggle breeds innovation. And I think that us in the Black community especially know that struggle breeds innovation. So Zem, again from Travel Noir, spoke about rarely being the smartest person in the room or at a table. So that allows you to learn from other people. That allows you to get new viewpoints that can jumpstart an idea. And that's perfect for if you want to continue on in an entrepreneurial sense or even a side hustle sense or even at work. Another thing that was mentioned in the Young Creators panel was creators always make something out of nothing. And that's where the struggle is. Creators is from anywhere. Inspiration comes from anywhere, but we can take that inspiration and actually make it something. And that's where struggle breeds innovation. And one point that a few of the speakers made was sitting in your discomfort. A lot of us try to jump from one pleasure to the other and don't like to sit in that discomfort or out of your comfort zone area. So sitting in discomfort is definitely going to help allow us to bring new innovative ideas, and that's what we need. Third point is strategy is bae. Now, if anyone has any idea of doing a side hustle or trying to get things off the ground, they know that a strategy is needed to be successful in their business or their side hustle or even just throwing an event. So someone in the crowd asked the question of, would you rather have ideas or execution? And of course you want execution, because you can have all the ideas in the world, and most creatives do, but if you don't execute those ideas, what's the point in having all of those ideas? And another thing that was brought up with strategy is being a social butterfly. Everyone thinks that they have to be a social butterfly in order to be successful and you have to meet everyone, but that's not the case. Someone mentioned that if you do good work, your work's going to do the talking for you. You don't have to be extroverted and in someone's face all the time. Let your work do the talking. And a lot of us also think that having followers is just the best thing in the world, and it is great to have a lot of followers, but someone mentioned at the conference is that even though you have all these followers, if you don't turn those into buys, then it doesn't matter how many people like your picture if no one's actually buying your product or buying into your service. These followers mean nothing. So turn your followers into buy was a great tip that I picked up regarding strategy being bay. And one other thing that goes along with that is scaling and optimizing your services, because technology is changing all the time. So when technology is changing, we have to change with it. So make sure you're optimizing your strategy to be successful. And one other point for strategy is everyone thinks you have to be rich in order to make sure that your business or your services are successful. That's not the case. You just have to make $10 look like $1 million. So it's not about the money. It's about using your talent wisely and being able to show people that your talent and your work ethic is on point. Fourth point is greatness cannot be ignored, and you have to make sure you continue to share your voice. Obviously, at the conference, I was surrounded by greatness. Great women, great panelists. Everything was wonderful. And so one point that was brought up during the media panel was, we're talking about the Pepsi commercial with Kendall Jenner, and I'm sure all of you have seen it by now. And if they just had one black person in the room, they would have known a Pepsi isn't going to save a life. This probably isn't the best commercial to put out there. And maybe there was a black person in the room. But if we don't use our voice and people, this isn't going to look right, then of course this is going to be the disaster that it was. So we need to start using our voices so as that black person in the room and not be afraid, so that we can start changing the narratives. The narratives such as Pepsi doesn't save a life. Or, for instance, there's a lot going on when it comes to marriage, and just changing that narrative to say all love matters. And so what we need to do is continue sharing our voices online was a major point that was brought up at the conference. And you can do that by finding just whatever platform is comfortable for you and sharing your voice on that. And those little nuggets and sharing our voice, being on Black Twitter, is going to be what's going to change the narrative for what Black people do and what people see when it comes to Black people. And the fifth and last point is just do you. Do what you're passionate about. Do what makes you happy, because whenever you do what you really like and what you're passionate about, then that's going to show, because that's going to draw out the happiness from inside of you. And another point is fail fast and stop trying to be a perfectionist. If we don't fail, then we don't learn lessons, and that's not what we're put on earth to do. We need to learn lessons. We have to stop being perfectionists, because there's no such thing as perfect. And another major thing that was said at the conference was, we have a lot of resources now, self-help books, podcasts. We need to start blocking out certain people's point of views and start listening to our own heart again. And that's where the passion and happiness is going to come from. So those are 5 gems that I've picked up from the conference. And then I just want to highlight 2 of my favorite panels. So one was Barry Williams talked about legal advice. And what she talked about was the different trademarking, LLCs, and different ways that you can protect your business. And I loved her advice where she said that one of the major things that you should do is protect early and be proactive instead of reactive. So protect your stuff early. She gave a resource of LegalZoom, can help you with trademarking very early on in the process. And someone else said Trademarkia is another resource that you can use if you want to just trademark your side hustle name or trademark your designs for something. Just do it early. And I recommend that if you have legal questions, you should definitely check out Bari, because she is a great resource, very knowledgeable, and she put everything into layman's terms for all of us that were at the event. Another panel that was great for me was Danielle Leslie. She came and talked about goals with us, and she basically started off that conversation with asking 3 questions. Who do you help? What are you obsessed with? And what are you known as? Those 3 questions get you thinking about what is it you're actually passionate about? What makes you happy? What's going to be your service or your product? And once you figure that out, it's easy to make a goal. Because one of the things that I hate is if you make a lame goal, you're going to have lame results. So Danielle definitely turned it up a notch and made sure that we made our goals, and that the goals were something that were attainable for us to achieve. Now, once we made our goals, she also made a great point that I can't get out of my head, which is results get you paid. Unfortunately, effort is appreciated, but it doesn't always get you the results. So if you start narrowing down your niche, narrowing down your goals, it will help you make sure that the results happen and you get paid. And one other major point that Danielle mentioned was when you're going into different environments and different jobs and positions, you want to make sure, do you want to be a culture add or a culture fit? Now, I know back in the day we would say a culture fit because you want to fit into the company culture and make sure that you're fitting in with the team around you. But she brought up a great point with culture add. Right now, Black people are maybe an enigma, and that they don't know how to market to us. So you want to go in making sure that you can add that, you can be that voice, you can add that insight into certain markets, certain demographics, and share that with the company, because that's going to make you an asset. Those are all the points that I learned at EmpowerHer, and I hope the recap video was good for you. Can't wait to see what Blavity do next year for EmpowerHer17 and where it's going to be. If you are at the event and want to connect, feel free to connect with me on social media or comment on this video below.